My name is Elena Turner, and I'm going to talk to you today about why you should give to charities. The majority of the world does not have the same privileges that most of us in America have every day. In order to find a solution to this problem, I will use the Kantian theory to explain why people should be guaranteed their basic needs. One of the biggest tragedies globally of the least advantaged today is probably one of the most overlooked. The calamity is starvation because food is wasted, illnesses because clean water is not available, and diseases because health care cannot be attained. These problems can be fixed if the basic needs of the people at poverty level were offered just the basic needs of food, water, and health care instead of purchasing the newest item. Before getting into the argument on whether or not one should donate $10 or go buy the newest item, some terms need to be further identified. One of these is the basic needs. The opinion of basic needs changes from place to place, so that one person's basic needs may be another person's luxury item. Basic needs are the items one truly needs to survive. Some of these are clean water, food that is needed to survive, and health care for those who need it at that moment. One cannot live much longer than 3 days without water, or they will die of dehydration. In some poverty-stricken nations where clean water is not available, the only way to get water is to drink the unclean water and risk infections, parasites, viruses, and diseases that may end in death. Or they could just drink the unclean water or refuse to drink the unclean water and die of dehydration. This could be easily prevented at minimum with just like a filtered straw so the maladies could not enter their body. But according to Kantian theory, all people are equal, so they should have the same ability that we have to drink the purified water. And also, people that do not eat can live approximately 3 weeks without eating. But there is no excuse for people to go without food, because just in Las Vegas, 8,000 pounds of food is wasted for every 60,000 produced. And the 8,000 pounds wasted is sent to a pig farm. Yet 30,000 children die every day. That's one child every 3 seconds. So the time it took me to say that, a child has died of starvation. But there's enough food for every person in the world to have 4.3 pounds of food per day, even in poverty-stricken nations. However, most of the time people cannot manage to pay for the food. So the resolution is to not necessarily just to give them food, but to make it accessible and reasonably priced for every person, or to teach them how to make it for themselves. So when clean water and readily food is not available, health crises begin to rise. Thus health care should be promptly accessible and affordable when needed. And Poga says millions would be saved from diseases and death if generic producers could freely manufacture and market life-saving drugs to the poor countries. This is the main problem with healthcare in needy countries. For example, the AIDS epidemic in Africa, millions of people have died from a disease when it could have been treated by medicine if generic medication producers could have free access to produce this generic drug. And according to the Kantian theory, generic medicine companies should be able to produce these needed medication because it would give advantages to the least advantaged. So rather than giving benefits to the fortunate by allowing a patent on a drug that's really needed for an excessive amount of time, allowing them to make a lot of money, but it causes millions of people to die. So instead, they should have a patent on drugs that aren't needed as much and release the patent for drugs that are really needed in poorer nations. But all these ideas are great, but there are a lot of people in the world to have to supply all these basic needs to. The population is always increasing, which means the birth rate is much higher than the death rate. This is especially true in poverty-stricken nations. Harden uses an example where the U.S. and a poverty-stricken nation both start out a population at 210 million. The population increases by 0.8% in the U.S. and 3.3% in the underprivileged nation. And in 87 years, the population doubles, but in 21 years, the underprivileged nation doubles. So in 87 years, the population would be 420 million, while in the underprivileged nation, the population would have massively grown to 3.54 billion people. As seen in the example, even though the impoverished people do not have much, They reproduce at a faster rate compared to the more fortunate people. Therefore, the more advantaged people will be forced to take care of even more people than before. So the Kantian theory does not see it as being forced to have to take care of them, but rather they are equal and they should have the right to that opportunity. Another concern that comes to surface is how much is enough to give when supporting charities. Singer says, referring to overseas children, that $200 in donation would help a sickly 2-year-old to transform to a healthy 6-year-old, offering safe passage through the childhood's most dangerous years. Singer proclaims that an average American family lives on $30,000, so anything made beyond that should be given to charity. However, this seems like a lot of money, because if someone makes $100,000 a year, that means they should give $70,000. And this is going to be given to a child that's millions of miles away, and they don't see the result of the donation. One of the biggest problems with donating it is it actually can harm the economy of the nation. One of the major ways is when a nation buys resources from a poor nation with crooked leaders, the money does not disperse to the workers equally. Most of the time, the rulers buy more guns and ammunition to control the workers and then make them work for less. And the economy in a poor nation is harmed by other nations invading and selling or giving away items that are produced in that nation. So when another country comes in and gives away bread to everyone, the farmers that produce the wheat, the people that turn the wheat into bread, and the people that sell the bread and deliver the bread are now without a job and income. That makes them at a poverty level. So also, if charitable people come in and do everything for the needy without teaching them how to do it, or just giving them whatever they need, they're not teaching them how to provide for themselves. So in conclusion, looking at both sides of the argument, according to Kantian theory, the more prosperous people should donate to charities to provide for the basic needs until the less fortunate can provide for themselves instead of purchasing the newest item. So I believe that the money that we put in for the $20 should be given to Oxfam because they teach people how to provide for themselves, and also they provide awareness for people like in America to allow people to know that there are poor nations and that they are actually a majority.